Hi, Ms. D.
Hi, Chris.
This is our interview for our Management Information Systems class. I am Chris Granger. I'm doing this interview with Kwame Curry and George Washington. Ms. D, we're going to ask you a few questions today about your background, about Management Information Systems, and then we're going to get some of your opinions on how some topics are related to the field. Okay? First question we want to ask you is, can you tell us a little bit about your background as far as your education?
Okay, I'm a graduate of OC Tech with a programming associate degree. Once I graduated from OC Tech, I went to Claflin University to do the 2-year program, bachelor's program. That was in organizational management. After I completed that, then I went on and did my master's in technology and education, and that was with Lesley University. We met out at Edisville High School one weekend out of the month for about 2 years. And then I started my doctoral degree with the University of Phoenix, and I got all the way up to the dissertation, and that was just too much.
What's some of your background as far as your work history?
Okay, upon graduating here at OC Tech back in 1998, I started working in the STEP lab, and that was just like a tutoring lab up there. And I was a part-time person, and one of my duties as the manager of the lab was at the end of every semester, I had to do the reports as far as keeping track of how many students came in for one-on-one tutoring, how many came in to just use the computers, and how many just came in and just did nothing. And after my first semester of having to go down and count the names on the signing sheet and all of that, I was like, oh God, it has to be a better way. So I actually taught myself Access.
Okay.
In that fall semester, I created a database where they have a data entry person that uses the form and keeps track of all the students that come in and categorize them, whether it's one-on-one tutoring, just using the computer or whatever. And at the end of the month or quarter or however they do it now, they run a report and they have all the information aggregated. So actually they're still using it now, and I did that back in 98.
Okay.
So, they're still using that program up there. That's where I started. After about 2.5 years up in the STEP lab, a position came open in the IT department for applications analysts. And the requirements, or they were asking for someone with a bachelor's degree, and I just really started the bachelor's at Claflin. And I was, at that point, I was like, no, I'm not going to apply because I don't have the education. And the people in the IT department, because we worked together, because I would upgrade the computers, load software, they didn't have to worry about doing anything in the lab. They told me, no, Dee, go ahead and apply. So I applied for the job, I interviewed, and I was offered the position as an application analyst. And when I was coming in, that's when we as a college first got DataTel. So I had to learn DataTel, I had to learn the college system and all of that wrapped up into one, because I was supporting not only the student services department, the continuing ed department, and the HR department. That's payroll,
right.
That's very important. And I did that for 8 years. And then I was offered a position, applications analyst 2 position at the state office. And I did that for 8 months. And actually during that time, that's when that gas was going to $4 and $5 a gallon, and I was driving a big SUV. I said, no, I can't afford that. So one day at lunch, I was surfing the web, and I seen OC Tech had a position open in the adult ed department for an information technology specialist. So I said, well, okay, let me apply. So I got online and applied, and I got that job, and I came back to OC Tech, and I worked with the adult ed department for 3 years, and then I interviewed for a full-time teaching position, and I've been doing that since 2011. So that's my scheme of things, I've been here, 16 years as an employee and, a student prior to that. So that's my history.
Okay. So it sounds like a lot of experience,
A
a lot of knowledge there. Since you brought up that you've been here at OC Tech so long, what are some of the MIS related positions that are available or could be available here at OC Tech?
In the IT department, they have several application analyst positions. Those are the individuals that do the state, federal reporting for the college. When you receive federal and state money, you have to report on your student enrollment, retention, graduation rate. They do that, and they also have a SQL programmer on the staff, which he goes in and he actually pulls the data out for the data application analysts. They take it and they process it and create the reports. Also, they have up there, they're called information resource consultants. Glorified name for the one that fixes the computers, supports the computers, the labs, anything dealing with the technology on campus, they support them. And they have several levels of that. They also have a network administrator position up there, IT director position, and I think a work study position.
If an entry-level candidate were applying to an entry-level position here at OC Tech, what are some important factors that you would like to see them either have knowledge or skills in?
Definitely soft skills are a plus. You have to be able to talk with individuals. You have to be able to listen. You have to be able to be effective in your job, and especially if it's IT or technology related, time management, being able to fix a problem and, get it done, not let it sit for long periods of time. Also, something that's very important, even if you're coming in entry level, and like I did with my position, I didn't have the education, but because I was encouraged to go ahead and apply, that's how I got started in the IT department. That's why I encourage my students, even though the job may be asking for a bachelor's degree, you have an associate, still go ahead and apply for that position, because you can win that interview, and you can work forward from there.
And we just have a few questions that we want you to rate. One being, how do you feel that it is essential? How do you feel it's important? And do you feel it's irrelevant or seldom needed?
Okay.
And the first one is information system building blocks. Do you think those are important, essential, or irrelevant?
I think it's important.
Important. Okay. And what is your interest in the information systems building blocks?
Well, as far as the building blocks, where the way I look at building blocks is building upon what you have and making yourself a better individual and a better employee, a better person, well-rounded person in the IT field. Because it's not like a retail person, you can go into any retail store and sell retail, but in the IT field, you need to be versed in more than just one area, If you have the opportunity to go to this training, even though that's something that you don't do, go to that training, because that's all that's doing. You're building your blocks and you're making yourself more marketable.
And how do you feel about information systems development? Do you feel that's essential, important, or seldom needed?
I think it's important for the simple reason technology is forever evolving, and you have to stay abreast of technology, and staying abreast of technology requires you to do some type of development, be it professional development or even development within your system, because if here the system that we have at the college, once the college outgrows that, then the college has to find something to meet its needs. So development is very important.
Okay. What about project management?
Project management is essential. as an employee, be it data entry or whatever the level, you have to have skills to manage a project, because the director may come in and say, you know, my other technicians, they're busy doing X, Y, Z, and I need you to handle this project from start to finish. And you have to be able to get in there from start to finish, get it done, show the initiative. I mean, don't be afraid to go and ask questions if you don't understand something, but be able to go in there, start that project, and get it done, and make sure you set that time management, keep track of what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, make sure you have all the tools and technology and equipment that you need to complete the job. And project management is very important.
Okay. And now let's rate systems analysis.
Okay.
You think that's essential, important, or is that seldom needed?
I think it's essential, and I'm thinking of it from an analyst, data analyst perspective, because as a data analyst and as a user of the system, you have to be aware, you have to know when the organization or the school or whatever has outgrown its database system. But analysis, you have not only with the database, but with the technology in general. Here on this campus, I know we have, just in this department, we have over 100 computers. So if the day come where they want to expand and increase our enrollment in each course, we have to be able to analyze, well, how many computers can we actually fit in this particular room to, be able to increase the enrollment. So being able to analyze not just your system, your business processes, and all of that's very important.
Okay. And fact-finding techniques for requirements and discovery.
Those are important because you have to be able to find the answer if you don't know it yourself. Just the other semester, I required my students to write a paper, in technology classes, and they're so used to always doing stuff hands-on. Write a paper, Ms. D. I need a paper, and I was disappointed in the end result because a lot of them, they did not have any research skills. They didn't know how to go in there, and they could go in there and find technology items or PlayStation games, and they could go online and research that. But when it came down to them actually finding peer-reviewed articles or whatever to develop their paper, it was like they're lost, And I tell them, I said, you got this technology, you need to use it more than just for technology work, You need to know how to go up on the computer, or go on your Google engine, search engines, and find the resources that you need, because you may not have anybody you can go to, so you use your resources.
Okay. What about modeling system requirements with the use of cases?
That's important because it helps the individual with the scenarios, give them opportunity to develop the skills needed to solve a problem. In my Oracle classes, we did data modeling as far as creating a database, what tables you would need, what fields you would need, the data type, and all of that. Data modeling and the scenarios, it helps you because it prepares you for when that scenario may happen in real life or on the job, and you're able to say, well, we had that scenario in class, and this is how we handle it, and I may be able to use some of those same techniques to handle this scenario. So role playing and doing scenarios are very good.
Okay. And you did mention data modeling. So how important do you feel data modeling and analysis is together?
Very important, because if you are required to do reporting for different entities, you have to know what data you need to produce the report that they want. So those play hand in hand, because if they ask for an enrollment report, you know, I need the total enrollment for the semester, and you don't have the students' course listings on the system, how you gonna answer that question, or how are you gonna give them that information?
Right.
So those two are very important.
Okay. What about process modeling? How important do you feel that is? You think it's essential, seldom, or just important?
I think it's essential, and for the simple reason, process modeling, when I think of that, I think of like an algorithm. Okay, I have this problem. What do I need to do to solve that problem? What are the steps that I need to take? And when you use that algorithm or that process modeling, it's very hard to miss a step. Because if you're trying to bake a cake and you have the recipe and it tells you mix your butter, then your sugar, then it's a process, and you take each step. You know, well, I can't put the butter in after the eggs because it's not going to come out right.
Right.
So the process, it helps an individual to solve a problem or produce what needs to be done, or to check and see if the processes are working well.
All right. And one last question for you. What influenced or made you choose to work as an MIS professional?
When I started here at OC Tech many years ago, I didn't know what I wanted to do, because I was in the reserves and I was just doing personnel stuff, doing payroll and filling out papers, because back then computers was a high thing back then. And when I came in, I was under, I can't remember the name of the program, but one of the requirements was I had to sit and take a test. Well, it wasn't a test, it was like a, I guess you would say like an evaluation. I can't even remember what the name of it was, but you answer certain questions, and depending on how you answer the question, it recommended the area that you needed to work in. I didn't know anything about computers when I first came out here. Computer, what was that? I was in school, we had typewriters. So when I took that test said I needed to be in the computer technology area. If it wasn't for that test, if that test would have said you needed to be a nurse, I probably would have been a nurse right now, but that's just how that test. I can't remember what the name of that test was for the life of me, but the way I scored and how I answered the questions, that was the direction that it took me in, and that was the direction that I went. It wasn't like I wanted to be in MIS, you know, when I grew up. I didn't know anything about MIS, but that was the path that was laid out for me when I took that test. And for the life of me, I can never remember the name of that test, but I thank the Lord for it, because, hey, I'm a product of that test.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we definitely thank you for taking the time to
Not a
interview with
problem.
us tonight.
Not a problem.
And again, this is Chris Granger, Kwame Curry, and George Washington interviewing Ms. D as an MIS professional.